Bramel here. Mike Staab.
Here.
Mike Oakley.
Here.
Stephanie Guerrero here. Brad Centola.
Here.
And Leonard Williams.
Here. Ms. Janver, would you please lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
All right. Well, we have a couple of groups of people that we're very proud of this year and their accomplishments. We've had an outstanding season on the football field and on the volleyball field. And we wanted to commend these young people and put the coaches on the spot a little bit. So I'd ask those of you who are here, the Sangamon Valley Tri-City football team, would you stand? Parents and players along with coach. I think the parents ought to have some recognition as well. Coach Lee, would you like to say some things, or let the players say some things that they'd like about this season?
It was a successful year for us. These young men here, 3 of the seniors we've had, super proud of that whole group, because they didn't always have much success in the win column throughout their first 3 campaigns. Yet, if you will stick with it and not give up, sometimes it ends up working out for you. And it certainly did for us this year, and these 3 gentlemen are a big reason why. Thank you to the school board, not only here, but to Tri-City as well, for keeping the co-op around, because it's a great thing for both schools, and has worked out really well in my now 11th season of football here. And we've had some good ones, and we've had some not so good ones in terms of wins and losses. This one was good in wins and in the quality of kids that we had this year, which made it just a fantastic season for me and for the rest of the coaches. Because when you have good kids, then it makes it tolerable for coaching. And even last year when we did win a game, I had a great time. Like I said, I was quoted sometime in the paper, the only frustrating part about last year was Friday nights, because we just couldn't push a win across. But gosh darn, going to practice when your kids show up every day and they work as hard as they can, there's nothing else I can ask for them. They gave me everything they had. And we did the same thing this year. We were just a little bit older and a little bit bigger and a little bit stronger, and we were able to win. So that made it a successful season in a lot more people's eyes than just mine. Because last year we had a successful year from what we were asking the kids to do. But it was a great run for us, and thank you for having us tonight. I don't know if any of these guys, I have Ty Summer here with me. Ty's a 4-year senior for us from Tri-City High School, and Jacob Foreman. Jacob's a 4-year senior for us from Tri-City, and then Garrett Myers, who's a 4-year senior from Sangamon Valley. So we do graduate 9 seniors, so we do have plenty to replace before next year, but I'll work on that later on. I'm going to at least let the new year clear up before I start working on replacing these guys. You guys want to add anything? Pretty standard. We don't say much.
Great job on behalf of the school and the community. Thank you very much. You did a fantastic job of representing the school district. Give them a hand, everybody.
Thank you, Coach Lee, for bringing the players over. And again, we commend you and the team for a great season.
Thank you.
Now, we also, while the guys are winning out on the football field, we had some young ladies that were doing quite well inside the gym with our volleyball team. Coach C, if you would like to stand, and the players that you brought with you, and the parents of any of the players that you brought.
Yeah. We just, had a great season. We were 26-10. We ended up winning the LOBC, the Northwest Division, our side of the tournament. We lost to Martinsville for the entire tournament, and then we went undefeated in our division of the Northwest, the regular season games. So this is Gabby Guerrero, Kirsten Durflinger, Taylor Woodline. They've been around a long time, and we just talked this summer about it. We're going into a new conference, it's a new team, nobody knows anything about us, so let's try and make a statement, and they bought into it, and that's exactly what we did. So we thank you guys for having us, and it was awesome.
Thank you. Once again, you guys did a great job to represent the school district, and thank you very much. And last for another round of applause for thanks a lot. Are we ready for closed session?
You need to go ahead and appoint a hearing officer.
Okay, I need a motion to appoint a hearing officer.
So moved.
Okay.
You.
Okay. Need a motion to appoint a hearing officer for the closed session. Second. Second. Motion made by Ken, second by Mike Staab. Please call roll.
Kim Bramel?
Yes.
Mike Staab?
Yes.
Mike Oakley?
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero, yes. Brad Centola?
Yes.
Leonard Williams?
Yes. Okay. We need a motion to go into closed session.
So moved.
Motion made by Kim,
Second.
second by Stephanie. Please call roll.
Kim Bramel? Yes. Mike Staab?
Yes.
Mike Oakley?
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero, yes. Brad Centola?
Yes.
Leonard Williams?
Yes. Okay. Okay, back in open session. A motion to accept the closed session minutes as read in closed session. Motion made by Mike Staab, second by Kim. Call roll, please.
Kim Bramel?
Yes.
Mike Staab?
Yes.
Mike Oakley?
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero, yes. Brad Centola?
Yes.
And Leonard Williams?
Yes. Okay, we need a motion to find student number 2014-15-3 guilty of gross disobedience and misconduct.
So moved.
Motion made by Kim, is there a second, please? Second by Brad Centola. Call roll, please.
Kim Bramel? Yes. Mike Staab?
Yes.
Mike Oakley?
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero, yes. Leonard Williams?
Yes.
Brad Centola?
Yes.
Okay, need a motion to expel student number 2014-15-3 for the remainder of the 2014-15 school year.
So moved.
Motion made by Kim, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mike Stahl. Call roll, please.
Kim Bramel?
Yes.
Mike Staab?
Yes.
Mike Oakley?
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero, yes. Brad Centola?
Yes.
Leonard Williams?
Yes. Okay, we need a motion to hold the expulsion of student number 2014-15-3 and abeyance pending successful completion of an alternative school and adherence to the memorandum of understanding developed by district administrators. Motion made by Brad Centola, second by Kim. Call roll, please.
Kim Bramel?
Yes.
Mike Staab?
Yes.
Mike Oakley?
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero, yes. Brad Centola?
Yes.
Leonard Williams?
Yes. Okay. Consent agenda.
I provided you the consent agenda of those items, and I'd ask the board to approve that.
Do you have questions, comments on the consent agenda? Anything on the bills? Not, entertain a motion to approve it.
So moved.
Motion made by Kim, is there a second? Second by Mike Stahl. Call roll, please.
Kim Bramel?
Yes.
Mike Staab?
Yes.
Mike Oakley?
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero, yes. Brad Centola?
Yes.
Leonard Williams?
Yes. Okay. Superintendent's report.
I don't have any additional information other than what I've shared with you in your board pack.
Okay. Curriculum director?
The only thing I really have to report is that we've been doing some informal meetings and stuff with a group of teachers and administrators, and we're just really looking at kind of determining the ins and outs of the student growth component for the teacher evaluations, which will be coming up, I guess, mandated here in a couple of years. So we've kind of got to strike while the iron's hot on that. So we're working on that right now and just trying to come to some consensus and stuff on what we're doing. And that's really what's taking up a lot of time right now.
Okay. All right. Any questions or comments for Mr. Field?
I've got a question. I see this.
Why don't we wait on Mr. till our high school principal comes back, because I have questions myself.
Okay.
Okay? We're talking about the report in the paper that Mike's going
Yeah.
up here. Old business, consider soccer program.
Yes, we, if you remember a couple months ago, we had some interest expressed in a soccer program for the district. We were approached back 2 or 3 months ago by Meridian High School about the possibility of co-oping with that district for soccer. We kind of put out an interest inventory. We did have some students who said they would be interested in soccer, both boys and girls. So it's an opportunity for the kids. I spoke today with the superintendent over at Meridian, and just to clarify what their stance would be on it and the cost and that situation. And what he said was they would not charge us anything as far as a district goes for participation. There would be a $50 participation fee that the student would have to pay for an activity at Meridian High School. And then all we would have, expense-wise, would be for the transportation over to Meridian for practice and to get them over there to get on the bus for games, or of course the games would be held at Meridian High School. Cindy Irvin did send in kind of an interest here of some folks that said either they, their kids would probably be interested in a soccer program, so I have that. It's basically up to you as a board on what you want to do with this. I think Coach Myers had talked to Meridian at one time, and they said the one thing that they would request, though, is that if the children decide to play soccer in the spring, they can't be two sport players. So they can't play softball and soccer. They'd have to decide what they were going to play. So, I mean, that was the only stipulation that we got from Meridian as far as that would go.
Soccer,
I thought it was.
I think the girls play in the spring and the boys play in the fall. So likewise, the boys couldn't play football and soccer. So they would expect that the players to be soccer only if we go that route. So, it's an opportunity for the kids, and something that you guys will have to decide if you want to enter into that agreement.
What's
I'm sorry, go ahead.
What's transportation cost?
I think, it seems like I give you the figure of it's going to be $8,000 to $10,000, if I remember right. Total, for the, when I calculate it out. Roughly, I mean, that's a guess. So I don't know for sure how many kids will actually play, but,
Were the kids aware that they could only be in one sport thing when they signed up?
I can't say that for sure.
Okay.
That's something that I think maybe Coach Myers had mentioned that or something.
Okay.
But it would seem like a lot of times with the kids, if they're really big into soccer, that's probably what they're going to do. Is they're going to play soccer.
Right.
So they're going to do that. So.
How many kids do you have signed up on?
Well, this is an old list. I don't know. I think I had. I think at one time I figured 10 or 15 kids, but the thing of it is
Total for boys and girls?
yeah, I mean, but again, you're talking about, this was a while back that we had to sign up, and we're talking about who's going to play come fall of 15, so, that may change, may go up, may go down, I don't know. And the cost I figured was probably more in line with about $6,000 to $8,000, I just found the notes.
So would the girls start this spring, or would it be the following spring?
It would be the fall, it would be
Okay.
for the 15,
So the
16
first time they
school year.
play would be,
What we would have to do is in any kind of a co-op agreement, you've got to submit the necessary paperwork and receive approval through not only the conference of each school that we're in right now, so we'd have to have the LOVC approval, and also the, I think that they're in the Central Illinois Conference or something, or whatever conference Meridian is in, they would have to agree. And then once we get those letters of agreement from the conferences of each of our schools, it has to be submitted over to Kirk Gibson at IHSA, and IHSA then approve. You can't do it on a one-year basis. A co-op is a minimum of 2-year obligation, and you can't do more than a 2-year. So basically, in any kind of a co-op situation, you commit to 2 years, and then at the end of that 2 years, you go through all the same paperwork and ask for approval for another 2 years if you want to do that, or you can send notice that you're going to dissolve the co-op at the end of that 2-year period. So, you know, it's not, if you decide to do it, which is fine, then you make a 2-year commitment. You can't say, hey, let's try it for a year and see what happens. It's going to be a minimum 2-year agreement. Now, Meridian, whether we send them 1 player or 100 players, they take all of our enrollment when they factor in like what class they're going to be in. So, I mean, I don't know that our enrollment, well, I mean, our enrollment was going to be 200 plus.
And bump them up to 2A.
It'll bump them a class, but that's up to them if they want to do that. So, you know, basically the decision is whether or not, you know, you want to invest, say, $8,000 or so, and give the kids the opportunity to play soccer.
I'm not saying anything wrong with myself, I don't know the rest of everything, but,
I think we expect these kids to be good students. We might as well let them, you know, I mean, let's separate the, I know people are going to make a big deal. Why do we not do the wrestling and why are we doing the soccer? Wrestling and soccer are 2 different sports.
Sure.
You can't pick up wrestling in freshman, sophomore, junior year.
well,
You know.
most of these kids have been playing
Yeah.
soccer since they could
Yeah.
walk, so.
So it's, yeah, I mean, I don't poo-poo soccer. It's an up-and-coming sport. I mean, I know nothing about it, but nobody's asked me to play soccer, so I guess I don't have to worry about it. But, I mean, it is an up-and-coming sport, and you know, if the kids do well at it, and maybe later on down the road, they can even get a scholarship for being soccer players.
When does the paperwork have to be filed, you said, for course?
There are dates, depending on if it's a spring, fall, or winter sport, and I can't remember the exact dates, the first of different months, and I can't remember which month, but that's Meridian's headache. It's not ours. If we vote to do it, then I'll get on the phone to their superintendent tomorrow and tell them to count us in, and we'll start the paperwork. We'll contact LOVC and get a letter of clearance from them, and then they can do the same. And then their athletic director will contact IHSA, send the paperwork in, and I don't see a problem with us being approved for it.
Is it something that we could get another more accurate head count now that we're going to be in December next month before next month's meeting?
I don't think you're going to ever get a real exact head count because, again, you're talking months down the road, and you're going to have the kids that either say, yeah, I'm going to do it, and then come first practice, they're going to say, man, no, I decided not to. But on the other hand, you may have some kids that right now I don't think I'm going to do it, but maybe when some of their buddies come back and say, wow, you know, we're having fun playing soccer, they may say, hey, you know, I was kind of flirting with playing. I think I will too. I wouldn't want to, you know, hold a kid committed to this. I think you probably want to make a decision tonight because you don't want to keep putting Meridian off. I mean, they've waited on us now a couple months, and I think either we do or we don't. But I think we need some closure with Meridian tonight, and I'd like to call him tomorrow with a yes or no on our part. Because, I mean, if we're not going to do it, they may have other avenues that they want to pursue. So I don't want to cause them problems by our lack of movement.
Is Warrensburg co-op soccer anyway?
Morella.
Anyone care to make a motion to enter into this co-op agreement?
I'll make it.
Okay, motion made by Mike Staab,
I'll
second
second.
by Cam.
Before we vote, the education fund, we won't be drawing anything off the education fund for this, right?
Well, it'll come out of the education fund. Well, no, it won't. It'll come out of transportation fund. No, there is nothing. It'll come out of, no, that's right. No. They're not asking us to provide coaches or supplies or anything like that. So the only cost coming from the district should be that transportation cost.
Where's our transportation fund at right now?
Well, I gave
The
you a
projected budget.
treasurer's report.
How are we doing with the transportation, just the students and a bus driver only that would be
Yeah.
going over to Meridian?
And right now, I don't know, I can't remember off the top of my head what I projected. Our transportation fund always runs pretty close, and it may be negative this year because I about half, more than half, don't expect us to get everything that we're entitled to.
Are they still running a payment behind?
Yes.
I missed that one, I never got it.
Yeah, they miraculously came through at the end of last year with the last payment. But they're always behind, and so I guarantee that at the end of this year, there's gonna be at least one payment behind, and they may be 2 payments behind.
Anyone else? Call question. Call roll, please.
I guess on the breathing side, I have just a little bit of an issue with, you know, what did we say, $8,000 a year, $16,000 potentially,
No, I think that's 8,000
for both
for
years.
both, I think. I think it's gonna run about that for the whole year for boys, the boys and the girls.
Essentially, it's 2 seasons, right? You got spring and
Right.
fall. So,
It'll be 4
from what I
seasons,
understand,
basically then, right? Because we'll lock in for 2
2
and it'll be
years, yeah.
8,000.
Yeah, you're gonna
total,
commit to
right?
that for that
It's gonna be
time.
16,000.
Right, over the 2 years, you're right. I mean, but for the 1 year, it'd be 8 to 10, but 2 years, you're gonna talk about.
So you said 6 to 8, so you don't know, you're just in that ballpark.
Right. But I think what
the
Stephanie's
very
saying.
next item agenda, I guess, is when then we're talking about cutting and reducing and cutting, increasing class sizes,
Yeah.
cutting teachers, but yet we're adding a sport. So, within my brain power, it's a little bit questionable, I guess. I'm just looking for, I guess, more. I know that the more sports we offer and the more opportunities we give our kids, the more that we draw people to potentially stay and reside here and attend our school district. But at the same time, I just don't want people to think I'm blind to the fact that, we're potentially making cuts yet adding a sport.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
well, we tried to go the least expensive route, which would have been probably with Tri-City, but Tri-City went with Riverton, correct?
That's right.
They
That's
didn't
right.
come to us at all?
Ernie, did you meet with Tri-City?
Yes, we had spoken with Tri-City, but,
Kids.
yeah, I mean, it was gonna be iffy for us to try to do something, or them to try to do something. Riverton already had, I think, an established program, and they said, well, we may just go with them. I think both of us were a little skeptical about starting a program of ours from scratch, talking about the sustainability of the number of students, and we didn't feel comfortable stepping off and having a big investment into uniforms and all the stuff that go with it. So I think their plan is to co-op with Riverton and go with that. So
It's my understanding, and maybe you told me this, that part of the issue there, if we would have started a new program and hosted it here, there weren't enough athletes to have a boys team and a girls team. That's why they chose to go over there, and that's probably why it's best for us to go there, because they have that.
yeah, I mean, it would have been iffy. It would have been tough probably for us to.
Because co-ed teams are a tough deal. I mean, co-ed soccer.
And it'd probably be hard for us again to sustain a program and also to be competitive. I mean, you don't want to put just the players out on the field and let them be embarrassed, because we may not have the talent. So
Was the projected cost for the Warrensburg transportation close to this?
Warrensburg would be closer than,
So it would have been cheaper.
it would have been cheaper.
But they co-op with Morella, so that was.
I'm talking about the wrestling. I'm a little upset that the whole transportation cost was brought up with the wrestling. And now we're here ready to go right with the soccer, and we got a higher transportation cost. And we've got the same amount of kids, I
Well, it's
believe,
further
that want
away,
to go.
Mike.
we've got the same amount of kids that wanted to be in wrestling, potentially that wanted to be in soccer.
You don't
And you
still-
voted down one, and now you're ready to approve another.
There weren't this many kids for wrestling.
Yeah, there was just a
Meadows.
handful of kids for
I
wrestling.
think there were 18.
18 for wrestling?
I think we had maybe 6 or 7 at the high school, so I'm not sure what the numbers were.
And they could have played football, wrestled, softball. There was no stipulations there either.
I voted for both, I voted for both of them, so I'm good.
I'm gonna vote for both of them, but I think it's ridiculous that
Wrestling and soccer are two different animals. You can't,
Kids' opportunities, so like.
but I
Kids'
understand
opportunities.
this, but if a kid has the opportunity to go break his neck, and who's the first one to blame? School board, so we allow it. And don't tell me there's not people in this district that wouldn't do
can you
it.
break your.
You haven't read soccer prevalence pages?
Yeah,
recently?
but I put my
So
kid
there you
there,
go.
but my kids
There's
want,
just as many.
my kids are prepared from the time
Just
they're
as
in
many
third grade.
concussions in soccer as there is in the other sport.
All right, we got a motion on the floor here. Let's act and party time, I guess. So, I'll call the question.
I got a first for Staab and second for Bramel on the co-op agreement for Meridian High soccer. So, calling roll, Ken Bramel,
Yes.
Mike Staab.
Yes.
Mike Oakley.
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero, yes. Brad Centola,
Yes.
Leonard Williams.
Yes. Okay, thank you. All right. Realignment.
Yeah, as we talked about, I guess, the year before last, the potential of a realignment plan to reduce costs. I provided you that plan. As I said, it does affect some personnel. Whether you do it this year or not, I don't know if you're gonna wanna do it this year. At some point, I would say it's going to need to be done down the road.
What is your thought process of the debt? I mean, I think we just did it last year, right? I think it was just last fall.
If we were gonna do it, we would have, this would have been the first year to do it.
Okay. So, I mean, if, sitting where we're at right now, assuming the state does not find any of our other funds and give us anything additional that they owe us, where do you see it? I mean, 2 years, 3?
Well,
next
I
year?
think I projected about $220-some thousand deficit in the spending in the ed fund this year. And I think on your plan sheet somewhere, I had, we would, if things held, we would possibly end the year with just over $500,000 in the ed fund. Well, you know, if you keep, you know, deficit spending $250,000, then you're going to end up in 2 years, that's going to be $500,000. And after that point, then you start dipping into your reserves that you have in your working cash fund. Now, I hope that I've given you the worst case scenario on the initial budget, and I hope that that $200,000 figure is worse than what I anticipate. But you never know. We have to keep in mind we have a new governor that's going to take over in January, and he is not a proponent of extending the what's called temporary income tax. My understanding the state budget is based on the continuation of that state income tax. And so the fear being that if that is rolled back, it's going to be less revenue in the state, which is going to be less money. Now, I also read that I don't think the new governor's plan is to roll it back all at once. I think what his goal is to incrementally roll it back. So the effect won't be as drastic as if he would do it all at once. But anytime naturally the revenue stream is going to be reduced coming into state coffers, the vendors can expect less money. And so depending on how we go, I mean, they can come along and say, we're not going to give you your last state aid payment because there's just not enough money there. So that could happen. They could go through a further proration of our state aid, we don't know, I mean, we're prorated right now at 89%. If the hole is blown in the revenue stream, you know, you may be looking at a more of a proration than 89%. Or like I said, if they don't prorate, they could say, well, we don't have enough money to pay you that last for that last education fund or that last state aid payment, you're just not gonna get it. So, you know, we don't know, but.
What's your recommendation on this reorganization?
Well, you know, you're gonna get down to the point one of these days of you're gonna have a classroom of 9 students if we don't pick up growth. You're gonna need to do this at some point. I'm not saying it has to be done right now, and you know, the question is, do you want to be proactive or reactive? And I can't promise that this is going to be the answer to all life's ills either. So I'm saying that this plan with the reorganization probably trims about $190,000 off of the education fund budget.
And that's K through 5.
K-5, you'd have a K-5 in both towns, the west campus, on the east campus. You'd have one section of each grade level on each of those campuses. What that would do is essentially it would affect the Niantic students by transferring them next year from Harristown over to Illiopolis. And I think I gave you the numbers as far as what we would project class sizes to be.
Now, you just said that would trim 190,000 off the education fund, and we're projecting a $240,000 deficit for this year. So that's not even going to cover the deficit projection.
No, not in and of itself. You know, there are some other moves personnel-wise that's in that plan that's going to make up about $260,000, I think, I think in budget reductions.
My question is, either one of those plans we go with, we're going to have classrooms that we're paying to heat and take care of empty. Do we have any plans or ideas of way to bring in some extra revenue and utilize those classrooms some way?
Well, I don't really know of how we can utilize classrooms and bring in additional revenue unless you do something like contract with Macon Pius Special Education District to say put a behavior disorder class in a school, but been there, done that, and I don't think you want to do that. I mean, you know, there's a way that you can rent out room like to Macon Pius and have kids from different school districts come there as a Macon Pius program, but be careful doing that. You don't want your kids here to suffer as a result of that.
Is there another way we can rent a space out of, like, storage office space or something?
Well, I don't know, and again, you know, we need to look at the specifics of what you've got. And you also have to keep in mind that you have to keep some flexibility in the event you have a bubble class, that you may have to have some classes of, you know, second grade, you know, so you'd have to have somewhere to put them. Usually space in a school is at a premium. You know, usually they find something to put in those rooms, you know, for some reason. I know they're usually pretty tight. Principals can probably tell you that they're usually pretty tight on space. So.
And you don't have to go into a lot of detail, but, I don't know if I interrupt your question or not, but, you know, this is a 15, 16 plan, right? That you put out there. And, you know, we're still possibly just, you know, either way you look at the numbers, we're still just barely getting by, or if nothing else, you know, maybe going in the red. What are we going to do 5 years from now from a long-term planning?
Well, you know, we don't have a crystal ball, hopefully. down the road, hopefully the state of Illinois will get their act together. Hopefully they will start funding us at the level that they should be funding us. That 11% proration cost us about $200,000 in state aid this year. So as I said, hey, you think about it, if we would have got what was entitled to us through state aid, we'd have been all right this year. We'd have been, 220, 240 on a deficit, but we'd have had another 200,000 in revenue coming in. Our hope is that, down the road that our, state's finances will get better. I don't know. Or we hope that, people start moving into our district and, we start seeing some growth.
Any other questions or comments? If not,
You want to talk about the other plan? The attendance center?
go ahead.
What's that one?
Well, the attendance center plan is going to save you roughly about the same. I'll see where that plan is. But I can tell you, and I said this 2 years ago, I'm not a proponent of the attendance center plan. Not that I'm against the attendance center concept, because in theory it's probably a pretty good concept. But the configuration of our school district, the 110 square miles that we cover, I just don't think it's good for kids, kindergarten kids that live out in the Lanesville area that come all the way to Harristown, no more than I think the kids that live on the far east side and that would be in 3rd grade go all the way to Illiopolis. So I'm not really a big proponent of the attendance center plan. It's an option you can look at, but I certainly would not recommend that. I just don't think we're geared to that, and I think it has the potential to cause a lot of problems.
I think education, in my opinion, education-wise is probably the best of the two options, just for the fact that all of your teachers teaching the same classes or in the same building, co-teaching and learning from each other and that type of thing. I went to junior high and high school, school district in Southern Illinois, where I was on the bus at 7 a.m. in the morning. The school was 4 miles down the road from my house, and I got off the bus at 7:55. But on the way home, we were the reverse route. We were the first ones off the bus on the way home, and then in the middle of the year, semester, it switched, and we were the long riders in the afternoon and the short riders in the morning. So it's been done for years. It'll be done probably more so as the school districts grow and merge and that type of thing. So I think it can be done. Do I think everybody in the district is for it? Not based on the circular we put out last year. It seemed like everybody was more for just moving the dynamic kids and as the least disruption. I do think it's important that both schools, both towns maintain an elementary school and that the high school is here in Niantic. I think if you go to, closing something, you're, hurting one town over another, and that's not the way I want to go as a board member. So I think my heart of heart says, attendance center, but I think for the least change, I guess, and disruption of the most students, I would think the K-5 and both. Although, you look at that and you're shifting kids in 5th grade aren't starting band until 6th grade, which some schools don't do that anyway. We have a literary program that runs for 5th, 6th graders that those 5th graders probably won't be doing because they'll be in 2 different schools now. So those kind of things, I guess, are going to change, but it'll affect the least people, I think, doing it that way.
The attendance center was the lowest rated option on the surveys we sent out.
But the surveys, we only got back like 200 or 300 out of 4,400 registered voters. I mean, yeah. My only question is with the attendance centers, and it's not in the plan, is there any possibility of cutting out the 4th office and saving on some administration costs with the attendance center plan? Can it be done?
I guess theoretically it could be done. We'd have to look at that. Well, you would be looking at a building with a K-2 probably, that would require to have an administrator. Then if you have another, like an intermediate school, you'd have probably a 3-5, and then you'd have a middle school of 6-8. Or, yeah, that's how it'd be. So you'd still have basically 4 campuses, and you'd basically come back to the question, you know, eliminating an administrator over in Heliopolis. And,
Well, I mean, an entire office.
well, that'd be hard to do the way it's.
You talking about like a principal and secretary?
So I'm talking about an entire office, yes. And having one office for the building like there is at Harristown, and I think there's one office for the high school too. I'm wondering if it can be done with an attendance center.
It can be done, I don't think it would be wise.
Ms. Janvin, would you like to be the principal for that configuration and 2 schools?
Not with junior high.
I
So it would
mean,
be
the last-
basically K
like
through
what?
8, 1 administrator, 1 secretary. That's a lot. I think just
I mean,
with discipline.
Just a report load that you have
Oh,
to
gosh.
deal with,
No.
and then traveling between 2 schools. I mean, last time there was 1 administrator for the school district traveling between 2 buildings. In my recollection around here, because I grew up in Harristown, was Charlotte Letterfield was the principal of Harristown Elementary and Niantic Elementary, and she run 36.
But
Yeah, but it's one facility.
he's talking about doing 3rd through 8th down at, right, down at
Well,
Heliopolis.
What about closing the building? Is that what you're talking about?
No.
Talking about closing the building?
No, I'm talking about, there's one facility in Heliopolis
So having whoever be the principal for 3rd through 8th.
for the entire facility.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
But there again, so you're gonna ask the junior high principal to be the grade school principal and junior high principal, and you work those people to death. I've already seen it. I've been through it. They went through it up here, Niantic before the consolidation. We went through it over there, and you burn them out. And there's a lot more paperwork now than was 20 years ago. That's,
I'm just asking if it's a possibility.
And I think it's a poor possibility. I think that, I mean, anything's possible. You could have a K-12 principal, but you'll be replacing them every year.
And I feel that, you know, running 2 elementaries and having the 4 offices, you know, looking at the numbers, we're the smallest in enrollment size, one of the lower tax-based districts. You know, if the heavens were to open up and grant us all the money we could need, K through junior high and the central located right here by the high school would be great. But we're on a list to get state funding for a new school.
We have submitted the paperwork, and of course, that's for the Capital Development Board. I mean, probably, you know, in the ideal world, the day would come that we would have a K-12 complex here, probably centrally located, probably in the Niantic area, but, you know, we're not going to be able to afford that, even I think with state funding. I think that what we're going to look at one of these days is, you know, you probably look at a 6-12 building or something along that line. But, you know, again, the configuration, it'd be nice to have everybody under one roof. Then you could reduce some cost, and you'd see some, I think, things better off. And, well, like you said, we're keeping up basically 4 buildings,
Yes.
you know.
And I don't know how many boilers that I see every
Oh, I know,
month
you know.
are being worked
Oh,
on.
I know, you know, between boilers and roofs and refrigerators and,
I guess my question is, 6 to 7 years supposedly with the grant money, what would this district be able to afford to do? Your crystal ball projection.
I think that the time that when we applied, we thought probably we could afford probably a 6-12 school. Probably, I think Randy had said, you're probably looking at $25 million, maybe 25 to 30 million. Probably a I think you said a K-12 complex like I wanted, was gonna be probably 40 to 50 million.
Probably then it would be 50.
Yeah, I mean, so, yeah, I mean, it's gonna be tremendous, I mean, the state, and two, you know, we have to be honest, that the state's not kicking out money right and left for these capital projects for schools. I mean, when we're talking about schools from back, 10 years ago, just now receiving money. So they could, in 5 or 6 years, they could say, hey, congratulations, we're gonna fund you. Okay, that's great, and we're gonna give you this money maybe 10 years from now, and.
So really, that's just for them to make a decision?
Yeah, I mean, that's for them to put it on paper, but not money in the bank. And, like Randy said, some districts go ahead and they tax and they say, you'll move up quicker on the list if you will generate your share more quickly. So you go to the voters and say, we want a building referendum, we're going to stockpile all this money, on the taxes, but, that's a hard thing to do, is go to people and say, hey, we're going to raise your taxes to build this building that might get built 15 or 20 years from now, but you go ahead and throw in the kitty. I think that's a lot to ask of the taxpayers and no guarantee from the state.
Bob, how long did it take Rochester to get their money over there after that building project? About 8 or 10 years?
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
The only thing that helped those folks, you got growth. You got a lot of growth, so that helped the taxpayers. Anybody else? Table this and make some kind of decision in December then. Everybody okay with that?
Wait for that to be here.
Yep.
You need a motion to table this?
Sure, go ahead.
I table it. I make a motion to table it to the December meeting.
Set there, second. Second by Brad. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much. Update board policies.
Before we do that,
Oh, I'm sorry.
we need to do a motion to adopt the 14 levy payable 15.
Okay. Need a motion to adopt the 2014 tax levy payable in 2015. We got a motion by Stephanie, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Brad Centola. Call roll, please.
Kim Bramel?
Yes.
Mike Staab?
Yes.
Mike Oakley?
Yes.
Brad Centola?
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero, yes. Leonard Williams?
Yes. Okay. Now, update board policy.
Yeah, per our policy manual, IASB's made some recommendations to tweak some of our existing policies. I recommend we follow the IASB recommendation. I might do that in the form of a motion.
Do we need to maybe appoint a couple of people as a committee to go through that again sometime, or it wouldn't hurt to check the cost, because Dan, you and I did it last time, and it took us, I forget how many hours to do that, but they sent someone from the IASB to go through it with us, so
Yeah,
I'll probably hurt to check on that,
yeah.
make sure that the way things are changing legally. So,
What I do is, I get what's called a press packet about quarterly, and they have on there the different things that they recommend for immediate action, that you should update your policies, and so I pull those and copy what their recommended policy is, and then we do it that way.
Okay. Okay, then we need a motion to update school board policies for the recommendation of the IASB.
So moved.
Motion made by Kim, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Brad Centola. Call roll, please.
Kim Bramel?
Yes.
Mike Staab?
Yes.
Mike Oakley?
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero, yes. Brad Centola?
Yes.
Leonard Williams?
Yes. Okay, motion to change the December board meeting.
We're not asking for a date change, but asking for a time change. That is in December. That's our high school Christmas program. It starts at 7 o'clock. Last year, we moved the board meeting to 6. If we could do that, then I think I'll try to keep the agenda light so that we can take care of board business, and then for those that want to go and attend the Christmas program.
Need a motion to change the starting date for the December 2014 regular board meeting to 6 p.m.
So moved.
Motion made by Kim, seconded by Stephanie. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Great, this personnel stuff here. Okay. All right, we need a motion to accept the resignation of Erica Byrne as a middle school classroom aide effective November 7th, 2014.
So moved.
Motion made by Kim, seconded by Mike Staab. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Need a resignation. Need a motion to accept the resignation of Elise Sadler as library clerk effective on November 14th, 2014.
Motion.
Motion made by Mike Staab, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Brad. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Motion to accept the resignation of Mandy Shively as part-time custodian effective on November 14th, 2014.
So moved.
Motion made by Stephanie, second by Mike Oakley. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Need a motion to affirm Randy Hager as lead custodian.
So moved.
Motion made by Kim, is there a second on that? Second by Mike Oakley. Call roll, please.
I'm sorry, Kim Bramel? Yes. Mike Staab?
Yes.
Mike Oakley?
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero, yes. Brad Centola?
Yes.
Leonard Williams?
Yes. Need a motion to employ Heather Hutchins as part-time custodian.
So moved.
Motion made by Stephanie, is there a second? Second by Mike Staab. Call roll, please.
Kim Bramel? Yes. Mike Staab?
Yes.
Mike Oakley?
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero, yes. Brad Centola?
Yes.
Leonard Williams?
Yes. Need a motion to employ Rachel McCormick as classroom aide.
So moved.
Motion made by Kim, second by Stephanie. Call roll, please.
Kim Bramel? Yes. Mike Staab?
Yes.
Mike Oakley?
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero, yes. Brad Centola?
Yes.
Leonard Williams?
Yes. Need a motion to employ Teresa Muir as part-time library clerk.
So moved.
Motion made by Stephanie.
Second.
Second by Brad Centola. Call roll, please.
Kim Bramel? Yes. Mike Staab?
Yes.
Mike Oakley?
Yes.
Stephanie Guerrero, yes. Brad Centola?
Yes.
And Leonard Williams?
Yes. All right. Before we call the adjournment here, can you guys you guys got any comments about the administrators, about our test scores here in the paper? And just give us a little overview of that, where we're at, why. And Mr. Fowler?
You got any specific questions, I mean, or just,
Well, I know we've been talking a lot about the new math at the high school level, and according to the 11th grade in the paper, underneath the math, we've only got a 35% either meeting or exceeding the standards. Is that because we're on old standards, or because we're transitioning?
It's because only a certain percentage of our students are in the class that they should be in when they take this test. The class that they should be in is Algebra 2. And we have a very small group of kids that actually make it to Algebra 2 as juniors. A year ago, I think I tried to give a presentation on that and explain that, and for whatever reason, I was having difficulties coming across and explaining to you what was really going on. 77% of the kids a year ago that were in Algebra 2, where they should be, I'm sorry, I'm thinking about English. It was closer to 60% of the kids that were in Algebra 2, the class that they were recommended to be in, met or exceeded standards. And I think that's one of the discrepancies that you see here between us and maybe a Maroa, Forsyth, or Mount Zion. I think it has nothing to do with the curriculum. I think it has nothing to do with the staff. Back in 2010 and 11, we were the top for the county. We beat everybody except for Mount Zion. We were ahead of Moreau, we were ahead of Warrensburg, Meridian, all of them. And that was 2000, again, that was 2010 and 11. We had a very academic group of kids that were on a college-bound track, and that's something that has to be taken in consideration of where those kids enter math and English as freshmen. Right now, they can take Algebra A-B as freshmen. And what that is the first year of high school, they take Algebra A, which takes the Algebra 1 book, cuts it in half, They do that first year. Second year as sophomores, they come in and they complete the Algebra 1 book. So that's putting them behind the 8 ball right off the bat. But what we don't want to do is put everybody in geometry, which is the college-bound track as freshmen, and then set them up for failure because they're not going to be able to complete the Algebra 2 by the time that they're the end of their junior year. And that's where the PSAE, the ACT, which is a college entrance test, that's where they're saying you need to be to do that. And it's the same way with English. And a year ago, 77% of the kids that were in English 3 when they took the PSAE test met or exceeded standards. And that's pretty darn good. And I come to the board meeting when we talk about this every year, and I defend the teachers. They work as hard as anybody that I've ever been around. And they put in a lot of time and a lot of effort, and they're the ones that are doing the ACT prep for the kids. And I think that should be mentioned too. We offer ACT prep every year, and we get about a 60% rate of students that say, hey, I want to do really well on that. I'm going to come in and I'm going to do those extra test prep sessions, and I want to be a part of that. And I think that has something to do with the numbers as well. I stand behind the staff. I stand behind the curriculum that we have in place. The change in the math curriculum, math 1, 2, 3, and 4, I think if we did that without any additional extra help, we'd be in the same boat. We would be having kids that are failing by the time they get into math 3 as juniors because they're not capable. And what the answer to that is what a lot of schools are doing that are going to this integrated math. They're double blocking. They're doing a 45-minute math class, and then those students that, based on our MAP scores, based on standardized test scores, those students we get an additional 45 minutes of math sometime during that day. And that's a possibility. One thing, though, that I think you should know is we would need staff at the high school to do that. We would probably need an additional math teacher to be able to do that. But I think that's something we would absolutely have to offer those lower level kids to get through the integrated math 1, math 2, math 3, math 4.
It's pretty much the way it's always been, right? You get the kids with the higher performing academic class, they skew the numbers up, they go down, they go the other way. This test estimate's always been that way, correct?
And the PSAE, if you look at, there for a while, our ISAT scores were going up, and I think these two can talk a little bit more about that, but they changed the way that they are, I guess not necessarily grading, but how they're, looking at the test. And the PSAE, statewide has always been, right around 50%. We never saw an increase, we never saw a huge decrease. And again, it's a college entrance exam is what it is. And it was never intended to be a measuring stick for what kids know in high school. And unfortunately, that's what we've been using now since about 98, I believe, was the first year we did it.
And this is changing. We're in a period of transition in the test and everything this year. We're in that transition period, and these scores are probably not real accurate. The Curry State exam was probably a horrible test to begin with. Unfortunately, it is going the wayside, and Park is replacing that. Now, this will be the pilot year for Park, and there are concerns all throughout the state that we don't know how this is going to work out. The state of Illinois is notorious for coming up with ideas and flopping, and then complaining about why we flopped. So it's typical state of Illinois process.
Anybody else, questions, comments?
On this or something else?
I mean,
On this or on something else?
on anything before we adjourn.
I believe last meeting we voted to put in the hero thing. Has that been put in yet? Where are we at now?
We have downloaded, most of the staff have downloaded the app. I've got it on my phone, the principals do. I think your staff has it, probably about 90% of staff that either has it or that some of the staff has to clear out some of the memory of their phone to get that. We are up and running, and I hope every month I can come back to you guys and say, we don't know if it works or not because we didn't use it.
I was wondering if there was like a testing phase or anything.
I don't know that there's a test, there's we can send messages like to,
I think you can do a test alert, but I'm not.
yeah, we haven't been
Brave
brave
enough
enough
to
yet to try that, so we're not gonna do that unless we have a rep from Hero here to do that, because we don't wanna not know what we're doing and then set off something and have all of our police scanners that SWAT teams have come to one of the schools and all that in a test, but,
It is
Mike,
up and running.
it is up and running. The geo fence is in place. Like I said, I've got it on my phone, and we have it ready to go.
Well, they advise us when the iPhone override thing is in place. I think you said he was working on.
Right, I think and we'll be in contact with him when that happens. There's certain phones that don't have that, but they're working on a software to do it. So, we hope that, again, we hope we never have to use it. But, I've got my little thing on my phone, so.
Well, we were able to secure the rest of the, I know we were at several thousand.
We were, right, Miles Copeland had donated, seven, well, he donated 1,000 per, yeah, 1,000 per building, so.
So we still have another 4,500 number.
Well, no, we've paid for that, but we've paid for it out of our tort fund, so it's not out of the operating fund. I mean, we had to pay for it.
Cameras on buses.
Cameras on buses are working. We've got those installed, and they seem to be working pretty well. I think the principals have used it a couple times and made some bus. So.
Okay, anybody else? Not, a motion to adjourn? Motion made by Kim, second by Mike Oakley. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, thank you. Happy Thanksgiving.